This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hello, and welcome to Body Count, the podcast where we believe history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes, and a proud member of the Big Heads Podcast Network. Now, our only rule when we choose a topic, someone or a lot of someone's died. We give you the series of events in a narrative fashion, and by the end, hope to correlate said story with current events. I'm not PBS, Ken Burns, or Dan Carlin. If you want a Hoover-esque, just the facts, ma'am, history podcast, we're not going to be for you. I'm telling you this now. There will be analysis and opinions. I'm not reading names and dates at you. So if you don't love that idea, don't let the door hit you on the way out. We don't care. My opinions are my own. Know that I hold all of my co-hosts verbally hostage. I feel really bad for them. Direct all your hate at me, folks, where it belongs. It's said that tragedy plus time equals comedy, so know that we giggle at some occasionally rough subject matter. If we didn't laugh, we'd cry. And we're warning you now to avoid offending anyone. Now, I'm your host, Jessica Manor, and I'm joined today by my sexy co-host,
Bethany Skeleton. Hey.
Oh my God, I would let you sing Happy Birthday, Mr. President, to me all day, baby.
Mr. President.
Oh, I'd be up on it.
Oh my God. See, I
So
told
everybody
you, take
knows.
two. Take two is always better. The vibe is always better.
Well, I don't have to stop to take my freaking inhaler, so
Yeah.
that's a plus.
Which I am kind of disappointed that is not on the first recording. Everyone, I think y'all should know, and we're going to just tell you right now that after I let Jessica finish, just like I did this time around as well, I let you get through that whole thing without interrupting you. And the first recording, she was like, I'm going to let you speak. Give me a second. I need to take my inhaler. It was the most, you could hear her go,
Right, and not be smoking a pipe. So that's
it was the best
that's an added
thing
bonus.
ever.
The
Nerd.
exhale click, and it be a pipe, just my inhaler. So that's fun.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, that was not a pipe. That was an actual breath inhaler, so she
was
can survive.
Full-blown nerddom, because what would a history podcast be without one? We're also going to do you all a favor. We're going to try to quit cursing so much, cussing, whatever you want to call it. Depends on where you're from in the United States or worldwide. I don't know why I'm trying to get like I'm the fucking UN about like I'm the UN about cussing.
I think we should just let it go, and whatever comes.
Whatever comes. It is what it is. We are actively trying to clean it up, though, for those of you that object
About coming.
vociferously to our language. I'm aware of all of you. As usual, there's a lot to get to today. First, housekeeping. Yes, we are a part of the Big Heads Podcast Network, a great collection of podcasts. We're super excited. God, everything I say is sarcastic. I'm legitimately excited about it, and I don't mean it to sound sarcastic. We both are.
Get your cheerleader voice on, Jessica.
We're super excited.
No, now you sound a little not over the top cheerleader, like legitimately happy that your team won state. Okay, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Like a good cheerleader. LETSGO, let's go, like the good kind, you know?
Yes. So, yes, go find Big Heads Podcast and Network. They are awesome.
Ooh. I mean, we're super excited. Please go check them out on social media, everybody. Please go to the website, bigheadspodcastnetwork.com. If you love the show, please go and give us those 5 stars on iTunes or wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. You can say whatever that HE double hockey sticks you want about us. We don't really
so
care.
wrong to
It's not for our
say.
ego. I know. It's so hard. It's so hard to hear me not cuss
Sorry.
at someone. It's wrong.
It's ever.
It's the worst. It's not for our ego. It helps us out on the business end, guys. It really, really does. Also, please go check out our Patreon. We watch and kind of comment our way through and be our very worst selves watching historical dramas for only $1 a month. Currently, we're in the middle of what I like to refer to as the frown with a C, or the crown, because everything is sad and everything is horrible despite their massive amount of privilege. Their lives are so hard.
I know. They poor things. I can't marry the man I love.
It's so terrible. We will say Margaret's boobies bounce very nicely, though. We do enjoy that. Also, a lot of daddies in that. So
Yeah.
we at least
There are
enjoy that.
There's some good, there's some bad, and there's some really angry. But but we did do something different.
Yeah, yeah. It's all about to go up. I'm going to put it up today, actually. We also comment our way through some good old Western lit with a modern day movie interpretation of A Midsummer Night's Dream. Now, this is via vehicle from the late 90s, 2000s. I can't be sure, but I mean, who really can? They're hard to distinguish. It's called Get Over It. And if you've never seen it, it's absolutely fantastic. And we commented like idiots our way through it. We want everybody to just go and see it. It's a lot of fun.
It's got big celebrities like young Kristen Dunst and Ben Foster and Cisco and young Mila Kunis and
and Colin Hanks.
And Colin Hanks, yes, it's chock full of people that we all grew up around. And
I'm pretty sure it's Colin Hanks before Orange County, like old school.
Oh wow, yeah, probably more than likely.
I think it might be. So that's our plugs and that's our everything for the week. So also, I want to comment, Bethany, I'm coming into today's episode a little bit hot.
Yeah, a little.
You've seen me on Twitter today.
Yes,
I know. Being
It's
kind of a bee.
Here's the thing. It's like, well, I know who you are as a person. Like, I've always known you as a person. And I know how you can be. And you don't like to keep your tongue. Like, what I mean is, like, you like to answer truthfully and honestly. And, and I'm certain way in that aspect as well. But the thing is like, a lot of times you're called a liar. Like, that's one of the things that we were talking about before we started recording is that people, their first, insult at you or even me is that we're manipulative or that we're liars. And it's not the fact that we are lying. If anything, we should be yelled at for being too honest. It's one of those things where we're like, maybe we shouldn't have been that honest. When
you put your finger right on the buzzer, most people are going to object.
When somebody tries to slip a pinky up in there when you're not ready for it,
right?
I'm sorry,
it's like, oh, you manipulative bee. But my point is,
ask permission before you poke something up there. You're poking the bear.
Right? You're poking the bear.
My favorite thing.
Poking the bear. And I'm not here for it. So if I am a twat back at you on Twitter, don't be surprised. It is, after all, twatter. We're adopting just the basic twat stance to twatter. I've had enough. Anybody else says, well, actually, to me, I am just, I'm done. I'm gonna put a finger where you don't want it either. Like.
Instead of what the youth are calling clap back, we call it twat back.
Twat back. Harry Twatter and the Sorcerer's Bitch. Like, I'm not having any more of it. I'm not having any more of it. I'm done. Which, whatever. I'm going to let it go. I hope I'm going to be a bigger person, and I'm going to let it go. Which brings us to our subject matter today. I think this is what's probably a little bit poisoning my mind, because I'm so tired of the Lebarons and their cult nonsense. I don't know about you, Bethany.
Yes.
We're doing our third part today. We're going to finish it up, I promise, again next week.
Yeah.
If you're tired of it and you want us to get back to some different history, we will be very, very soon. So if you're listening to this, go ahead, back up, maybe check out part 1, part 2 of Ervil Lebaron series. Honestly, you could dive into either one. But if you don't do that, I feel like you're going to be a little bit lost.
Even if, then, like you said, I mean, but however, if you're going to just like randomly start, even at part 2, we get to a spot where we start talking about invisible mantles. It's like an invisible crown that apparently somebody's wearing. It's just one of those things where it's like, you're not going to understand what the hell we talking about. So you need to back it up even more. Back it up.
Back it up. What is she twatting about? Exactly.
For real. You need to just push pause and go all the way back, because it's very important that you get, and I'm talking about me as a person. Like, maybe if you already know about the subject matter, then you're in the right section of it. But as a listener, I haven't done any. The only research that I did was read up on Warren Jeffs, and I could talk to you about Warren Jeffs this and Warren Jeffs that and all the crazy crap he did. But this is something where it's like, where did Warren Jeffs get this idea from? It's one of those
start from. Exactly.
So here we go.
It's the same source material as last week, and Bethany's exactly right. This is not a well-known cult. It's not a well-researched. You're not going to be able to go out and watch a documentary about it, and that was what attracted me to it, having some familiarity with the subject matter that we're talking about. So we can talk all day about how crazy it's been, yada yada. We expect you, either go back, don't, but let's go ahead and get to the story. Before we continue to some more murder and hate, like mayhem, which really quick, that's not a freaking baby name. And I'm disturbed by the number of baby mayhems I'm seeing. I can't even say it right anymore. Mayhems we're seeing. It's not just our friends that have chosen that as a name. It's not. It's people in general. Do not let an insurance commercial influence the way that you name your child forever.
Yeah. But
don't
anyway.
name them like bookcase, door, or mayhem. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
But before we get into murder and mayhem, we need to talk about cults. Now,
oh God, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. This is important because we see the Lambs of God move kind of from kooky religion to a true cult status in this part. And we've touched on a little bit, but let's look at it in a little deeper context of Ervil Lebaron and the Lambs of God. Now, why do I believe that? Why do I believe that they are a cult? That's also going to be important.
I mean,
we're both on board. We've believed that from the beginning, but it has to be said, they're not a church. They're a cult. And when
quote, they're not a church, because they call themselves a church and they call themselves, that particular, but they're not technically a quote unquote church.
Exactly. I mean, but what cult hasn't called themselves a church? Quite a few of them in one way or another. And again, I use that term very loosely.
Yeah.
When you're part of that kind of group, you believe and adhere to a set of customs and social conventions within your own community. But you're still a part of society as a whole. You practice your religion and your religious mores within said society. And if you're a sect, like say the fundamentalists in our story, you sort of are withdrawn, but with the intent of changing some religious tenet.
So like,
does that make sense?
So they're practicing their religion And it's actually even become so outside of just like within themselves because their community, they're surrounded by other people that do it as well. It's become like it's not an unnormal thing where they're at because everybody's doing it.
Right. But if
Yeah.
it's an unnormal thing within the confines of society outside of just the principle, aka polygamy or something like that, I think that you can draw that line that it's a full-fledged cult.
Yeah, that's some serious power. I mean,
To me, it is. So Ervil had the Lambs of God just withdraw from society altogether. And when they withdrew, Ervil took some stuff that he liked a little bit from everywhere, threw it all together, and made his own doctrine, teaching, belief system, etc.
it's gumbo.
And basically his own crazy gumbo. And so any core tenets of Mormonism were lost when Ervil embraced his civil law. Think
Civil
just
law.
the 10 Commandments, but instead of Moses being God's mouthpiece,
Right.
naturally.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Of
And
course.
it wasn't a democracy. It
No.
was dictatorial on its best day. Heavy on the dick.
Yeah.
And this
Nazi, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly. This is where we slip so subtly from religion to cult, though. And
Yeah.
it can sometimes be lost on people when they're going to want to argue, oh, it was a church. It was just a crazy church. No, it wasn't. It was a full-blown cult.
Because I can miss 3 Sundays in a row at church and go into church and people are like, oh my God, we missed you. I hope things are well. I've been praying for you versus where have you been? You dirty rotten spy. I'm going to kill you. You know,
exactly.
So it's just, there is a fine
That's an incredibly important line.
Just slight, maybe a little bold underline, but
but still a line in the sand, if you will. Yeah. Remember, guys, like this guy could literally sell a dude where Hitler could not.
Yeah,
was charismatic and charismatic in the same tenor that, say, Manson was or Jim Jones was. Like those two.
Handsome. I mean,
handsome winners. Why wouldn't you want to follow into that?
And you know what's crazy to me, Jessica, is we were talking earlier about how I'm kind of weirdly jealous of people that are very, and we all know people that are very susceptible to something like this, being very able to, turn and take advantage of. But yet it's like, man, I'm kind of jealous. Like I would love for somebody to just tell me what to do or where to be and what to believe in. It is very, giving up every right of choice.
Well, now we're straying into some basic philosophy, and I am not a philosopher, though I do like to expend it in my spare time. If I subscribe to anybody, it's going to be Camus and the idea of the absurdist hero. But again, if you didn't glean that from my hairy twatter, aka my Twitter, I don't know what you've been doing. You haven't been paying attention. But I agree, Bethany. There is something to be envied. It's almost like a giving up of freedom. You no longer have to make your own choices. And in a way, that is free.
Yeah.
I mean, if I didn't have to get up and decide to pay my own bills or fix my own food or
decide who to love, decide who to trust, like somebody just tells me what to do.
You've heard me for many a year saying my ideal vacation is a medically induced coma. And in a way, isn't that just a cult?
Yeah. Except for instead of dying, you just go into a deep sleep forever.
Exactly. Or instead of killing, you go into a deep sleep forever. But there was something about Ervil. Now, no doubt, as on the surface, with the rest of all cult leaders, the rest of us ask, WTF, why? Why?
Yeah.
But people would kill or be killed for Ervil, same as Manson or Jones or any other Wall of Fame cult weirdos. What an oily, weird, sweaty Wall of Fame that must be.
Yeah, that would be it.
I imagine that Wall of Fame like reeks of onions and halitosis, and that's just it.
And internet download.
And internet downloads. And now it's got a troll section just down in the bottom where you can troll people directly from that wall of fame. I think it comes from that belief that these people think they're essentially the Messiah. And you can see with Ervil, just as with many cult leaders before or after, and because these people are like clinical psychopaths, sociopaths, etc. I'm not a psychiatrist,
but there's a name for
it. Exactly. I think there's a good case to be made that they maybe all are. And not all are. I will say that straight out of the bat. I don't know. Again, we can't diagnose that, but some just think they're really correct. But they know how to do the staging because they, Ervil included, have pretty spellbinding personalities, as it were. So after Ervil, well, any cult leader really is able to establish control over a group, then that's when the crazy shirt starts. Just every time I don't cuss, my soul dies a little bit. My body like convulses. It wants to puke on my computer at this, like all over this outline, and just wants to throw up on it. So, I mean, again, we see the threats and coercion and controlling behavior really begin. And it often stems from the creation of some outside enemy that is always trying to destroy the cult organization, that them versus us, whatever it may be mentality, which creates fear, and people keep turning back into, and I don't know if this is going to make sense, but they keep churning back into what they know to be, quote, safe. Does that make sense? Because
of course.
It's the thing they know.
Well, think about it. Dumbledore's, isn't it? I think it's Dumbledore that says that the greatest thing than fear is hope or love, or no. That's in Hunger Games. I'm sorry, I'm getting my fantasy fiction mixed up.
Well, but I was gonna Roosevelt it and say the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, but
well,
but all
see,
right.
there you go with your history, and I go there with
there for Dumbledore and Hunger Games. You don't have to tell me twice.
Anything stronger than evil is love, and anything stronger than fear is hope. So,
I mean, whatever franchise that we love that it came from. And this was especially so for the Lambs of God. I mean, they were all interrelated by the three families, the Lebarons, the Chenaults, and the Sullivans. But because they were polygamous, they were making their own dedicated followers continuously. And these adults grew up knowing nothing else.
Yeah, they didn't know anything else. Yeah.
Exactly. So while this wasn't a huge movement, Ervil had money and lackeys. And this is this is an interesting thing about the Lambs of God. Usually a cult will try to pull from all backgrounds. They want the affluent, middle class, upper and lower, the not so
everywhere.
The impoverished. They try to get everything. But the Lambs of God were largely impoverished blue collar folks for the most part.
Gotcha.
And in a way, they had kind of been floundering in the real world, the majority, not all.
Right. Like not doing well?
Yeah. And Ervil provided this missing structure almost in their lives, which cults and megachurches, this makes me so sad. I'm just so sad for people. How many hugs did they miss out on as children?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where you
miss. Where do we miss out on trying to create outreach groups that help these people?
Well, I mean,
get what they need to be successful.
Think about it, Jess. You're talking about people who are literally feeding off other people's miserable lives, the ones that they're in complete and utter desperation. And when when people are desperate, that desperate, they will turn to whatever is going to offer at first, because, Ervil did offer what he was offering was very legit. Like that's why they felt safe, because what he was offering, what he was saying, you have my protection, you have this, I will give you that, I will give you wives, I will give you children, I will give you a home, boom, 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 follow me. Boom, I'm sold. Sign me up. If I'm literally living on the streets trying to get off this, coke addiction or whatever it might be, heroin addiction or whatever it might be, and I'm
Or if
completely
I'm dirt poor,
fucking poor,
minor out of work,
exactly.
or somebody in backwoods, I don't disagree. I 110% see it.
That's where they
And
get their
that's
power.
what's so sad to me. That's where I think we miss out on these community outreach groups that maybe could make a difference or put somebody on the right track. And it doesn't have to be religious. And in fact, I would prefer it weren't.
Yeah.
But you see so many of these charity groups targeting the wrong audience.
Wrong.
And
Yeah.
this is your audience, folks.
Yeah.
Like, if you run a 501c3 out there, like, this is your audience.
Yeah. Exactly.
Support them in the legal system. Support them in every way you can, because otherwise, this is where they end up, or dead.
Yeah. They will turn around, be grateful, and their story, and that's what everybody says. You don't convert people. You don't help people find what they want to find by preaching about God or whatever you want to say. You tell them your story, plain and simple. How are you to where you feel good? All right, tell somebody about it.
You do what you can to give them home, to give them a leg up, to provide job opportunities, and that is exactly what Ervil Lebaron did, and that's the really sad thing.
That he was smart enough to do that, which I cannot believe it's called Ervil Lebaron smart, but it's true. He is. He's
smart enough to do that, and that's what we miss in the rest of us are so busy trying to have our champagne fundraisers and our bullshit, that we don't see this is the people you need to be targeting. And the far more rewarding part is that these people are going to be part of a functioning society, and they're going to think in a vein of those that reached out. So if you're a good person, maybe get them in that vein. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Whatever your political affiliation may be, whatever it is that you do in life, if it's sad enough, if you want converts, if you want to see people walk the walk and talk the talk, then you have to do the work. And sadly enough, Ervil did the work. So for the most part, the lambs of God, they couldn't cope with normal life. They weren't successful within the bounds of society. Responsibility for themselves was just too much, et cetera, et cetera. And they were more than happy to have Ervil make their decisions for them. They could basically...
Oh, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I know you're
you're fine.
It just kind of reminds me of like addiction or mental health things. Like and me personally, I guess here is a little deep dive into we talk about depression, anxiety. I went into a mental inpatient system because of something that went through in my life. And then what they did is they just threw you back into society, and they expected you to just cope with life and do that. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen. If anything, it's actually the worst thing for you. That's why nowadays they have halfway houses and things like that where you can be transformed and moved into society to cope versus just being thrown out into life. And that's why they were failing as people, and Ervil saw that, and that's what I see him doing. It's like, oh, okay, here's these people that can't do it. You know what I mean?
Know that I'm right there with you, and we may be doing okay now, but we certainly weren't doing okay then, and we had our issues and different issues. We come from different backgrounds.
But we still went through some serious stuff, and I know some people didn't make it out. And then there's some that, like us, we did make it out. I mean, maybe not every day.
And I would even say there's such a difference in the way that parents deal with it and classist issues but it's still the same thing, that you're just chunking somebody back out into
society,
a world that they're not equipped for.
Yeah. And then being like, oh, why didn't you make it? Why did you get thrown in jail? Why did you get into drugs or prostitution or whatever it might be? Like, Well, let me think about it. You threw me out with no social skills. And here comes this person that's like, hey, I can help you.
And
But
you know that I'm a big suck it up person because I don't feel sorry for myself. I cause my own problems in life. That's just the way it is. But at some point, if somebody will throw you a life preserver, you're going to
yeah,
be okay. And
yeah.
sadly enough, the life preserver to these people was
Was
Ervil Lebaron. I mean, they could basically return to childhood with Ervil punishing or rewarding them in that familiar totalitarianism of a super weird father figure,
I'm
for like
sorry,
lack
girl.
of better terms.
I'm sorry. I that word is written down in front of me, and I am surprised you got through it in the way you did because that's not how I thought it was pronounced. So, and everybody,
Totalitarianism.
it looks like total Arianism. That's what I.
Well, again, in
Sorry.
history, totalitarianism comes up a lot. So it's a word I'm familiar with. A lot of cults tend to
Sorry.
come out of some form of social upheaval,
Come out of the woodwork.
which
Yeah.
is true to the emergence of the lambs of God. But most cultists tend to get the bug, as it were, by being somehow socially conscious.
Mhm.
You see that I mean, social consciousness was a part of Jim Jones, was a part of Manson and everything, but this is where the Lambs of God are a little bit
Different.
different
Yeah.
in that it was not
That's a lot
so with
different.
them. They were almost extreme right wing, the Lambs of God. And in fact, given the childish natures of the followers, they almost sought Ervil as a shield from
Mhm.
all the social awakening going on in North America during the 60s and 70s. Ervil eliminated the burden of politics by saying, yeah, get all that.
Yeah,
There is no
don't listen to
political
that. Okay.
structure except the 10 Commandments overseen by me. You can't separate church and state. Government should be a function for administering the 10 Commandments. And according to Ervil, lambs of God were kept from the morally questionable 70s, the erosion of quote unquote
Family. Yeah, the family
family.
values. Yeah.
Yeah, excessive freedom, too
No
much nice
bras.
shit. I don't know. Sorry, I'm trying not to cuss.
And no bras and lots of acid and
And
yeah.
a social awakening and things they were all scared of, things that made their world that much
Scary.
smaller, if
Person's
it
walking around
were
naked. Scary.
scary.
That
And
woman
I
doesn't
mean,
have a
to an
bra on.
extent, I do feel for these people.
Yeah.
The real world can be cold, uncaring,
Scary.
and most important of all, a highly competitive
Yeah.
place. But I mean, this communal, all for one existence was just what the doctor ordered for the Lambs of God. I mean,
Yeah.
they called Ervil Tio, which is Spanish for uncle, which is not unlike Jim Jones followers calling him dad.
Daddy.
Gross, daddy. If I'm gonna call somebody daddy, it is sure as hell a one-on-one. Like,
Not gonna be Jim Jones, but okay.
right? I would just rather die, but
Which you probably would have. So
yeah, I would have probably, but I would literally rather, and I'm okay with that. So the Lambs of God would most likely have failed on their own, or just fail altogether. But in this group mentality, they succeeded. And Ervil was insurance almost against failure or destitution. No one person failed the group,
yeah.
but the group rather failed. And each
Yeah.
person could always blame another member in their mind.
Well, if they hadn't and he hadn't and then she hadn't, then I wouldn't have. Okay.
In a way, it takes away freedom and culpability, because with
Yeah.
freedom comes culpability, and so they're eliminated from those burdens
Mhm.
of the free world, as it were. So not only do you see the common cult characteristics of hive mind, removal of freedom, which to the easily influenced can be a scary thing, almost a messianic father-like glorification of leader. We get to trying to, you don't just leave. You kind of have to try to buckle up. That's where we get within the Lambs of God. Now, usually this sort of coercion begins subtly. If someone is thinking of leaving, everyone makes you feel extra welcome, extra special. And usually it's tough for a new convert to a cult to admit they made a huge mistake because they have given away everything to the organization, if you were. So in most cults, people will go a long way to rationalize that they made a huge mistake. Or in the case of most of the Lambs of God, another mistake. It's so sad to me. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Which, remember, it really
it's a
is.
vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle.
You're exactly right. It is lack of education. There are so many factors, and we're not going to get into it. We're not a political freaking podcast. We're just here to tell you what it is. So members would make new converts feel guilty about their life before and remind them of their failures. I mean, when you join any cult, your deepest, darkest secrets are immediately extracted and weaponized, which Bethany and I were talking about this even before we started doing this podcast. Anybody ask you outside of a confession booth where you're legally protected, and I'm not even Catholic. We're not even Catholic. Like,
no,
don't tell them anything. That's your first sign that this is not going to go well. Like, if it's a church proper, there are limitations between you, God, your soul, whatever. But if anybody starts asking for your deepest, darkest sins and secrets,
your business.
Get out. Like,
you have to know me for a really long time before I start unveiling all. And there are some things.
We call this a call an Uber moment. It's call an Uber moment. Like, I need an Uber. Uber, please. Like, you're done. Call a cab.
Did you hear my phone ringing?
Please, let me hail a cab. Oh, my phone's ringing. Yeah, this is that moment. Because before, you're reminded of all that and all your failures before, and that you now have almost this new cultist family to lean on and share your burdens. And the worst part is, if you keep up the leaving talk, here come the threats. Maybe jokingly at first, but less and less so if the convert keeps it up. And eventually, with the Lambs of God, it became clear that you would just be murdered. Murder time.
Murder.
But, really quickly.
Yes.
Bethany, do you know what I love?
What do you love, Jessica, other than body count?
Well, naturally. Like all of our listeners. Now, getting paid, listen to this.
Okay.
Is getting paid to listen to podcasts. Because you and I both listen to a lot of podcasts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it sounds crazy, but it's not crazy.
Sorry.
We're not crazy, despite what you may hear.
Yeah.
That's why we're insanely into the new free app called Podcoin. And it literally pays you to listen to podcasts. So here's the rundown, how this all kind of works. You listen to podcasts and you earn Podcoin while you listen. You turn that Podcoin in for a gift card at places like Amazon or Starbucks. Or if you're a good person, you can even donate that Podcoin to a charity, like we were talking about early in our stories.
The money you make that you're not really doing anything, give it back.
Give it back. And we're huge advocates of that, let me tell you. Now, the more you listen, the more you earn. It's a lot like credit card points, but no interest or debt. Just fun. Now, where do I find it, right?
Yeah.
Where do we find it, Bethany? Where in the world? Now, you can, it's Carmen, San Diego.
There you go.
Oh, I was there with you. So you can use our code body count, all one word, capital letters, and you'll get 300 Podcoin just for signing up. You're already listening, so go and get your Starbucks or Amazon or donate to your charity free on us, guys, while rolling your eyes at history like we do.
Yes.
Go ahead and go listen to this podcast or virtually any podcast on Podcoin and sign up with the code body count. One word, all caps. We promise it'll change the way you listen to podcasts. Now, back to our show, Bethany. Now, we touched on it a bit in our previous episodes, but you can't overstate the importance of the outside enemy. If cutting off the outside world is important to the cult mentality, the outside enemy was a big part of it.
Yeah. They're
understandable.
Yeah.
A siege mentality distracts from how weird and effed up your situation is day to day in crazy cult town. So let's look at Manson, since I started with him, and Jones. We're going to kind of try to keep to those examples. He used African American people as his enemies. Jones went with the FBI, CIA, and the Ku Klux Klan. Wow. I'm glad we said it at the same time. And just so you know, guys, I'm never doing Jonestown. It's Lambs of God times 1,000, and I've got all these parts. Imagine what Jonestown would be. And I think last podcast also did it really, really well. I don't think it can be done better, so please go and check it out. Now, Ervil had...
Wait, what's Jonestown? Because we did Johnstown. What's Jonestown?
Jonestown, Jim Jones's colony in Guyana, where he had everybody suicide themselves.
Well, I mean, I know the story. I guess I haven't listened. I didn't know that that's what it was. I was confused. I'm with you. I'm following. I'm understanding. I just haven't listened to it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm never doing Jonestown in Guyana, that mass cult suicide business, because I'm not up to diving into the history. If I've done this much on Ervil Lebaron, and it's a small cult, imagine what Jonestown would be. And that's, again, I really and truly believe that last podcast on the left did it the best that it can possibly be done. I thought it was hilarious. I thought they did really, really great research. Again, we advocate you going and checking it out. We're not ever going to do it. Please enjoy. I hate to plug people that are never going to plug us, but please go enjoy Jonestown by last podcast on the left. Now, Ervil had plenty of outside enemies for the Lambs of God. He had the Mormons, the Catholic Knights of Columbus, all law enforcement, because weirdly enough, of their enchantment by their leadership by Baptist Jimmy Carter, which no one was particularly enchanted by Jimmy Carter. BT dubs. No one. And earlier, I'm sure he had some problems with Jerry Ford, or was somehow connected in Ervil's mind to the Mormon Church in Utah police. It got crazy, all the enemies they had. But enemy number one was the Firstborn Church
and his brother,
Ervil Lebaron. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, because that's
Ervil had this
anyway. So.
Yeah, Ervil had this weird belief that if you just killed the leader, the church was going to be yours. Well, after he killed Joel, surprise, surprise, they went to Verlin and not to Ervil. And he just couldn't wrap his tiny little head around that. He could not.
It's like when you do all the work and you bust your balls and you're like, look, see, I know what I'm doing, and then hire outside the company. And you're like, God damn it.
That's exactly what happened. I killed this guy with my own hands. And what do? Ervil was always preaching that someone was out to get the Lambs of God, kidnap them, kill them, constant vigilance BS. Everyone had to know how to use a gun, be ready to kill anytime. So it's basically like being in a cult of Mad Eye Moody.
Constant vigilance. I'm so happy you just did that.
No, of course it was. It was just the Mad Eye Moody cult there for a while.
Again, read the books, don't watch the movies. Harry Potter's the best. End of story.
110%. I would be part of a real Mad Eye Moody cult.
Yep.
Spoiler alert. There's just always a threat of death outside and inside if you didn't cross your T's and dot your I's the way that Ervil saw fit. Which, if you are entrenched in a cult, the threat of death for defection will always definitely keep you in. Old school Scientology defectors talked about the 245 solution for desertion, which was get shot with 245 caliber bullets. Ervil used law of the 38, a one-way ticket to hell, and hot lead and cold steel. I fucking hate this guy like so much. He is just the worst, and I apologize. I know I said I wasn't going to cuss as much, but this guy is just the worst. He deserves the F word. But
I'm on a highway to hell. I'm on a highway to hell.
I would just love to like punch him in the face with Thor's hammer. He is the worst. He is the worst. But death isn't the only power play in a cult's leader's pocket, as we know, least of all with Ervil. And in this way, he's similar again to Manson and Jim Jones of Jonestown, Bethany, as well with the preaching and the matchmaking. There's still always religion and sex if death doesn't do it for you. So,
make me a match, find me a find, catch me a catch.
Oh my goodness! If we couldn't bring Fiddler on the Roof into an episode, who would we be? Who would we be? So there's always religion and sex if death doesn't work, which death would work for me, but some people it doesn't, whatever. So Ervil, the prophet, he would preach at people marathon style, all hours of the day and night in order to break down any kind of mental resistance, which is all classic cult behavior. But we saw pretty early in our story that Ervil had figured out that controlling coupling within the group gave him the most power in a polygamous cult. Controlling the flow of marriages controls the flock.
Okay.
I mean,
hold on. I just want to say, I give these people some mad fucking props because I have a hard time just keeping focus on, a movie, which is like an hour and a half, let alone somebody preaching to me for all day and all night. That I'm like, okay, good for you for being able to focus and be in the moment. I have a hard time just making it through.
Well, if you thought you were going to die otherwise, you could probably suck it up, right?
Oh, true. Okay, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Like if I have to,
then your mental resistance just breaks down because somebody's threatening to kill you.
Yes, you are my light and my savior. Yes, sir. I will have 60 wives and produce children and then have sex with them too. Yes, sir. I mean, I'm sorry, but there is a line.
In that way, you're also saying, would you just please shut up so I can go fuck my, 12 wives?
Yeah.
All 12 of them if I feel like it. Like, that's kind of where they were at also.
But there's a moral line that I've drawn. Like, how far would I go into a cult? Well, I'm assuming not very far because there are some lines I draw in the sand a lot sooner than the rest of these people. So.
Oh, yeah, me too. No, I would rather die first. I mean, I'm not even going to join a Greek society because I'll be damned if a single person tells me what to do.
Yeah.
I may behave badly and be myself, but it's going to be on my own terms. Like, I'm going to dig my own grave. Thank you.
Thanks, but no.
Bad manners strikes again. But we kind of view these people as hostages, but in a way they view us as the ones imprisoned. That us-them BS really ramps up. The paranoia just becomes like extra. It's always which good for me for using a term that I actually understand from the modern day. It's always a them trying to destroy us. This prophecy of violence becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy almost. Cult leaders, especially Ervil, they see their mission as absolutely right. No questions, either for their own salvation or that of the world. And to increase urgency, there is always some impending apocalypse. It increases fear and it gives purpose and it keeps the cult moving forward. It's a mission which doesn't give anyone time to think about what it is that they're actually doing in this atmosphere of paranoia and fear, if you will.
It's like, oh, here, I have to survive. This is the way to survive. This is the only way to survive, so I'm just going to do it.
Exactly. And in a way, this mission also makes converts kind of feel special. I mean, they feel that they will be the ones to usher in this brave new world. And Ervil was always playing that tune. Always.
Like the disciple. Like the disciple.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. So that's going to wrap up, guys, my quick, very basic, very just minimalist attempt to outline the lands of God as we will see it. And we're about to take the sojourn from madcap, wacky religion to full-blown cult. And those tenets and those markers we've seen in that explanation are going to be important as we go forward in our story, because that's where it really takes on life from being just a kooky religion that is bad, S-word crazy. I don't care anymore. Batshit crazy to being something that is
fear
out of this world, just pure cult.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, it goes from being, oh, that silly family down the street that always has all those kids, they're innocent, they're harmless, to, oh my God, they might kill us all. You know what I mean? Like,
you're exactly right, Bethany. That's exactly what happens in my mind, at least.
Yeah, no, just briefly reading the outline that you sent me before we started recording, and in honestly putting my brain to use on the first two parts, and also halfway through this one, it's like, okay, shit's about to go, like, from bad to like disaster. Like, all of this is bad to begin with, and now we're literally, it's like, oh my God, it's like that moment when you're still learning how to swim, and you're in a pool, like at a hotel, and you're going along, you're like, oh, I can touch, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, drop off, underwater you go, deep in, you know what I'm talking about?
That is an excellent metaphor, and that's almost how I feel with this story, is that we've always been touching, we've always at least had a base of religion, a base of something in it, and then very quickly we go off into the deep end. I agree 110%. So the last we left Ervil and the lands of God was following the Los Molinos raid, which is the first provable body count that we can start chalking up to this group. I know we had some questionable things before, left 2 dead, 13 injured.
Right. We have so far, and I can't believe it, we are in a deep dive series, and so far only 2 people have hit our body.
That we can prove. Ervil Lebaron.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy.
There were some questionable deaths before. And, well, 3 technically because of Joel. So 3 are dead at this point.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That we know of.
Mm-hmm. But they're just getting started. Of course they are. And now there are a lot of weird, maybe murders in this period, but we're going to look at the big ones, especially those about which there will be later extensive testimony.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term. Any way we look at it, like, the crazy train had left the station and was just gaining speed. We're not coming back at this point. So
I'm sorry, it's hard to jump on a crazy train. But isn't there a song by Ozzy Osbourne? How does it go? How does it go?
We're rolling off the wheels on a crazy train. Crazy
Rolling
train.
Wheels on a crazy train.
Something like that. I don't know. But yes, crazy train.
Okay. It was going to kill me if I could not sing it.
I'm more of a Black Sabbath person. But yeah, I agree 100%. I like that particular Ozzy Osbourne brand in life. I do like Crazy Train. So now there were a lot of weird murders, as we said. We're looking at the ones that we can prove. And any way we look at it, we left the station and Ervil's plans, as we outlined in the quote, cult mentality section.
Yeah.
It's sad to say they're only going to get bigger from here, folks. I mean, he was bent on world domination for sure.
Dr. Evil. This is why. This is right here. This whole.
This is what you thought. That's what you thought. But I was thinking, prepare for total domination. Domination. Yeah, that's where my mind went.
See, that's right how, and mine went to Austin Powers and Dr. Evil. Like, he was set on having, and the only thing that even like made him somewhat human was his mini-me, who also like
my mind went straight to Sparky Pilastri and bring it on.
Please.
Think of what you ate today. Now cut that in half. It's called a diet.
You must be the captain. You will need the most work of them all.
I mean, like, that's where my mind goes. And because to me, as an outsider, it's that freaking crazy. Now, he wasn't just bent on taking over Los Molinos and the Firstborn. Ervil planned on eventually taking over the Mexican government, the U.S., just all of it. Oh, and Bethany, the world.
The world. That's all.
So you're right. There are some Austin Powers like parallels here. I mean, that's all. You're exactly right. Yeah. That's all. That's it. Now, how are you going to finance that? Now,
like grew. Go to the evil bank.
Right, exactly. How are you going to finance all of that?
I watch kid movies. Sorry if you haven't watched this.
Oh, no, I do too. I love all those movies. I think they're absolutely fantastic. I was right there with you.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway.
I was right there with you. Ervil racked his weird brain, and of all the things he could come up with, it was killing all religious rivals and stealing their businesses.
Perfect.
Why not?
Why not?
Remember, why not? Remember, at this point, the Lambs of God were mostly Ervil's family, wives, and kids, but there were enough outsiders to keep that baby-making machine up and running. And remember, Ervil controlled the matchmaking machine. He had first dibs naturally. Why wouldn't we think he did?
Yeah.
Of course he did. But arranged many a marriage to reward those he wished to woo, reward, or bind to him. It was around this time that the group moved to good old Utah.
I knew it.
Why not?
From Mexico to Utah.
From Mexico to Utah, not that big of a terrain switch. Where Ervil proceeded to just drop in on all the patriarchs of the polygamous sects, demand 10% of their earnings, fealty to the Lambs of God Church, and if you refused, well, you're dead.
Yeah.
You're dead. And of course, they gave him the big FO, if you will. Like, get out of here, crazy man. Get out of here.
I just have to say, when I first just like skimmed through this before we start recording, I was like, FO, what the hell does FO stand for? And I now know. It just occurred to me what it is. It took me a second.
It took me saying it in the correct tone of voice.
Now I
FO. And I'm not saying that all of Mexico is like Utah. Please save your emails. We are aware it's not. But the points in Mexico that the Lebaron family were particularly used to were
Yeah.
Oh man, those Mormons, they all stay in what's familiar to them.
And know what's funny? I have to say is when you were talking about how Ervil, the majority of his cult is actually his actual family, his wives, his kids, his cousins, his second cousins, his cousins of cousins, technically his daughters. Just
Yeah, it's
I had
disturbing.
to kind of weirdly laugh to prevent myself from throwing up, kind of thing. But it's the truth of that's how you create an unstoppable army. You got people that are like, "You're my blood. Technically, I'm related to you. I
You're my
own my
family.
life."
You're born into it. You know nothing else but this BS. That's exactly right. He was onto something, whereas maybe other cult followers weren't necessarily onto it.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that polygamous background really gave him the push he needed, if you would. Now, Verlin, his brother, of course, was always target number one, but Verlin was smart enough to always be in hiding. Now, Ervil had spies scattered among the firstborn, and they reported on firstborn church activities. Still, post Los Molinos raid, some people were understandably jumpy as a cat, for lack of a better term. I'm going to use that Southern colloquialism because there isn't a better one. And one such was Naomi Zerata, a wife of an associate. Now, Naomi started blabbing about Ervil here and there and everywhere, and even
big no
threatening to
no,
go to the
big no no.
cops,
Ooh, not
right?
ooh.
And
Oh, she's a
dish
911 girl.
Ervil's location. Girl, rule number one, you just leave. You just
Yeah.
leave. So Naomi's hubby, and this is disgusting, gave Ervil his blessing, who gave the go ahead for a blood atonement. Now, blood
What's that?
atonement, what
Yeah,
is
what
this? You may be asking yourself because it sounds just banana bunkers, does it not?
is it like the unforgivable no. Unbreakable vow?
In a
Like
way, but you don't get to sent to heaven for that one. So blood atonement is a time-honored means of making people obey by threatening them with physical violence. Basically, you obey or you're dead, Fred. Now, this harkens back to old Brigham Young and his days, which was the Mormon Church's second prophet. Young believed that if you strayed from his flock, the only way that you could gain entry to heaven was if you were essentially killed by a righteous assassin, and he named the concept blood atonement. Nutshell explanation: the church could and would kill you for major disobedience, but as long as the church brethren did it to you, you would still be assured entrance into heaven. So, like, kill you to save your soul. So that's fun. That's great.
all right.
I understand why so many people in the West adhere to this religion.
Sure.
Of course, the church proper abandoned this principle in the 1800s and just started excommunicating folks. But
Oh, okay.
not so, our Ervil, Bethany. Not
Of course.
so.
Why would he do that? Why would he stop like chopping people up? Like, come on now.
Exactly. Why would he? Enjoyed it so much. So back to Naomi, who was blood atoned, or who
Mm-hmm.
was to be blood atoned, so Ervil could shut her the hell up. For the job, he dispatched one of his wives, Vonda White. Now, Vonda had known Naomi for years, so she didn't have any trouble convincing Naomi to go cruising with her in January of 75. So they pop
God.
on out to the San Pedro Mountains, and it was there that Vonda riddled Naomi, a mother of 5 BT dubs,
Oh my God.
with bullets.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just shot her before Naomi even knew what was happening.
5
Another
times.
wife of 5, more than actually.
Oh.
She was a mother of 5.
A mother of
Naomi.
5.
She shot her more than that.
My
Another
sister
wife
aim was
of.
bad.
It
I
was.
mean, it's like sending a, God, what's that phrase?
They were sister wives in law. I mean, it
I
was.
know, but, like, it's like one of those things where it's like you send somebody to do your dirty work. What's that thing? Is you can't get a job done unless they do it yourself. Fuck, what is that phrase? It's a phrase. I'm sorry. I'm like, ugh.
No, I
You know what
I'm
I'm talking
aware.
about?
I do know what you're talking about.
Oh,
It's just not coming to my mind.
don't send a monkey to do a
Man's work.
man's work. Thank you. Oh my God.
Well, he could send this
Continue.
monkey because she turns out
Obviously you
did a
did.
real good job. So another
did.
wife of Ervil's was
Oh,
along
no.
for the ride, Yolanda Rios, who, surprise, surprise, would later be murdered,
Of
just
course,
helped
you're
old
doing it.
Vonda dig a shallow grave and unceremoniously dump Naomi into it. So freaking 0 to 60 in 3 seconds for these two women.
We're like 0 to 100 real quick.
They went from just being polygamous, weird wives to like
Murderers.
full-blown assassins in 2
Yeah.
seconds.
Oh, yeah, what the hell?
Oh, I mean, cold. Which in a way is further testament to just how much fear and control Ervil was now generating in the group these days.
Yeah, exactly.
Naomi's body has never been found.
Whoa.
But when Ervil heard that she was dead,
Like,
he
hello,
said,
yeah.
and this turns my
Hello.
stomach, ugh.
Hello,
You don't know how pleased the Lord is that that traitor is dead. Wow.
How? Whoa, I was actually not ready for that.
No,
I thought it was going to be like some sort of sarcastic,
like
typical.
preachy bull. Yeah, no.
Not, oh, the Lord is happy that she is dead. Whoa, whoa.
Whoa, sir. Backing on up.
You're putting my name in your mouth? That's probably what he's saying up there.
Well,
How dare you
that
put
was
my
kinda
name in your
Ervil's
mouth?
deal.
You
He
keep
thought
your
he just
name
spoke
out
for
my
God.
mouth. My name out your mouth.
Don't let my name come out your mouth.
Yeah.
Except for Ervil very much did, because after all, everybody thought that he spoke for God. Now, the group was leaning on and threatening other fundamentalists in the area, like at full tilt, but to no effect, which naturally was making Ervil crazier than he already was. So he started spouting crazy stuff at these people like, repent ye therefore suffer the destruction at the hand of God. So that's fun. Again, he's the hand of God now in writing.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Right.
So that's where we're at on.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where we've gotten off on the crazy train temporarily.
I was gonna say, actually, now we've boarded a roller coaster.
Yeah, 110%. That's probably a better euphemism. I agree. Still, they told him piss off, but some were smart enough to start beefing up security, and one of these men wasn't so clever. Poor old Bob Simmons. Now, Simmons lived on a 65-acre ranch in Utah with his two wives, all of which Ervil wanted to start some kind of what he called weird military training, which was to just practice everybody like killing people. I don't know. It really starts to get weird from here. Now, poor Bob had been in and out of mental hospitals in younger days and claimed to be, oh God help me, the prophet destined to convert Native Americans to Mormonism.
Oh God. Oh
now,
God.
I understand Mormons being obsessed with Native Americans in the 1800s, but I think the U.S. government sort of eliminated the majority of potential converts. I don't know why Mormons are still obsessed and just won't leave these poor people be. It's something to do with the Book of Mormon, Lamanites BS, but we just don't have time. We don't have time.
Jessica, you just put Native Americans eliminated U.S. in a sentence, and I about spit my beer through my nose. Like, I cannot believe you just used the word the sentence. Oh my
That's
God.
the least offensive thing I've done today.
Oh my God. I can't, honestly, it doesn't surprise me, but you happened to catch me as I was taking a drink of my
I
beer.
apologize. I'm
Oh
just
God.
saying. I'm just saying that particular pool of converts was kind of thinned by the U.S. government.
Oh my God. Kinda.
Kinda.
Sure.
Now,
The word.
Ervil was determined to get Bob's stuff and, more importantly, eliminate a false prophet and now have like Bob bow to Ervil. So at least Ervil tried conversion first.
Yes.
Ervil was,
Okay.
yeah, Ervil with the usual, again, we know it. Like, oh, you just killed him. At least he tried.
I
In this
mean,
case.
sure. He tried really hard, Jessica. Sure.
Oh,
He
sure.
Sure.
In a way, it would have given Ervil more power to have Bob like bow to him. So Ervil, with the usual crazy spin, went about it in a weird, lack of a better term, weird ass way.
Yeah.
Using a false name, Ervil called on Bob Simmons several times, pretending to be a Lambs of God missionary. Yeah,
Wow.
so they would like invisible mantle fight for hours about their theological differences. And here it comes up again. Like, it just never leaves the story, and that's why we did all of part one. So they invisible mantle fight for hours about their theological differences, and this even manifested itself. Wait for it. By breaking down into some weird wrestling pretend seizure, like speaking in tongues bitch fight with all the wives like standing around freaking out and crying over it.
It's like, who can best be possessed by the Lord?
Exactly. It's so weird. It's so weird, and I can't even do justice to the description within our sources, but, and I hate to say it, but the story just gets weirder. All of it gets weirder even from here. So the last straw, which,
cheers. I'm sorry, Jessica.
oh God, let's envisage cheers.
Because I'm so down, but it's like literally watching like Jerry Springer unfold. Like,
That's exactly what it was, Bethany. That's exactly what it was.
It's one of those things where it's like, I have to admit, when I was younger and I ever felt like down on my life or like something that was getting me down, I would just put on like the afternoon channel 4 or 5, and Jerry Springer would be on, and it would remind me that my life doesn't suck as bad, or could be as bad as it is for those people. And I felt
that's
like
why we do this whole podcast.
It's like, I shouldn't do that, but at the same time, like, I can't help but be like, you know what? I'm doing all right. At least I'm not.
Are you kidding me? That's why we do this whole podcast.
What?
So
you know what? At least
can go, you know what? I'm doing all right.
I haven't joined a cult, so I think I'm okay.
A volcano's not eating me today. I haven't joined a cult, and I haven't been a victim of a mass bombing, plane crash. I don't know. Edward VIII didn't surrender me to the Nazis today. Like, that's where we're at.
The dam didn't break, and I was swallowed by, dam water,
Thank you. Exactly. That's exactly the place we live at, so get used to it.
Do this podcast. Like, for real.
That's where we live at, Bethany, so we shouldn't be besmirching like Jerry Springer. The last straw, which, interesting that the line in the sand wasn't a speaking in tongues fight. That wasn't the line in the sand. No, the breaking point was when Ervil started hitting on and trying to lure away Bob's wives. So,
I mean,
Simon's
seriously, of all things, not
polygamous cult mentality.
Wow. I guess possessive much? Like, okay, you can have multiple wives, but don't you dare get at my multiple wives. You have
That's where you draw the line. Speaking
have
of, that's where you draw the line in the sand, not the spitting tongues fight. I'm
right?
just
Like,
kidding. I'm right there for the possessive BS. I'm right there for it.
who's a better actress? Like, come on now. And the Academy Award winner is
Better actress. Oh, I love you. I love everything about it. I'm trying not to lose it. Okay. Okay.
Now's the time
So-
for your inhaler.
No, it's not. Bob Simon saw red and called Ervil out, saying, like, look, dude, I know that this fake guy is you, and banned him from the property. So, surprise, surprise, Ervil had a revelation from God that Bob, the false prophet, needed to be blood atoned.
Oh my God, here we go.
Right, exactly. So the would-be assassins waited in the wings for a few months before they paid Bob another and the last visit.
The last and final time.
The last and final time. They sound like City Confidential.
Yeah.
God, that wasn't my intent, but that's exactly how that sentence came out.
Cold case files. What was that thing that came on late at night?
Cold case files, City Confidential, anything that's on the ID network, like, and then they paid Bob another visit for the last and final time. Now, on the drive out, they stopped at a gardening store and picked up like classic grave digging tools, which that's a weird Amazon cart, pickaxe, shovel, line. I'm just picking up the essentials. I'm just getting the essentials.
Just some zip ties. Yeah.
Zip ties, duct tape. Go ahead and add those to the list.
Rubber gloves.
It's like Dennis's kill kit from It's Always Sunny, like, basically. That's what I was thinking the entire time I was researching this. I could just see everybody else would have gone for like, oh, Dexter or anything lame, but no, I'm just in my head seeing Dennis Reynolds' kill kit in
Jessica,
It's Always Sunny.
we should totally start our body count podcast side business.
A kill kit?
A kill kit. Like
a kill kit and a bug out bag. That's all we need. Kill kits and bug out bags. Welcome to Body Count Podcast. By the way, go check out our website where we sell kill kits and bug out bags. Mostly bug out bags because we don't do that many murders.
And for bonus, for added on features, you can now buy yourself a witness.
And why not? And if you chip in extra, we'll be that witness. Because after all, we've established we're actresses.
Copied and trademarked by Jessica Manor and Bethany Skelton.
At Body Count Podcast, TM.
Oh my God.
We shouldn't joke about this. I feel like my light on my computer, which isn't even on, like the recording light came on. BTW, I love the United States government and I would never break the law.
Please note that in a court of law, this is on record.
But it doesn't stand up because we're showing you right now that it is just satire. Satire.
Oh my God. Okay. So they picked up their
kit. Of course,
kill kit.
after picking up their weird kit at a gardening store, they stopped yet again to dig a shallow grave. So it is just business as usual at this point for the Lambs of God.
Nothing to see here. Please move along.
I hate it, but all I can think of right now is Norm Macdonald's stand-up about shallow graves, and I think it was Sharon. When you get interested in the missing Sharon, it's a great stand-up bit if you never heard it, which Gather round, children, and listen to the old aunt's favorite stand-up, Mr. Norm Macdonald.
Wow.
You probably know him nowadays as Colonel Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love Norm Macdonald. So Simons knew they were coming as one of Ervil's buds, who had long pretended to be somebody else, Lloyd Sullivan, pretended to be a defector from the Lambs of God. He claimed that he had seen the light and now believed that Bob Simons, or maybe it's Simmons, Bob Simmons, it is Simmons, you dumb bee. Bob Simmons was the one true prophet following. I can't, I have to prepare myself to say the following sentence. Believed Bob Simons was the true prophet following a conversion he had with 5 Native American chiefs. Which, dear God, I hate all of these people. I am so done with this. I hate all these people.
Oh my God, right? Like, it's ridiculous.
Supposedly these chiefs of the tribe of no one knows said they were looking for God help me. God help me. I have to say this sentence, and it is a direct quote. The white prophet who would lead them to salvation for a long time.
Oh my.
I'm not even going to cheapen it with a faux accent. It's not like I can come at these poor people like they're Nazi Germany. Like, I'm not even going to do it. Like, it's not even funny.
It's not funny. Why even laugh?
Oh, that's so the worst. So, of course, Bob jumps on that, asking Lloyd how soon can he meet these chiefs.
Oh my God.
Lloyd was basically like, oh, right now, man, we can drive to him. So Bob paid for the freaking gas money to his own grave, Bethany.
It's like rolling up a joint of your own shit.
And then like smoking everybody else out and you never take a hit and being like, oh, I don't smoke.
Oh
I don't smoke. It's for you. It's for guests.
yeah.
Oh
my God.
The worst. So on April 23rd, 1975, Lloyd drives Bob to the middle of nowhere. And this is so terrible because we know what's happening. We know what's going to happen to this guy. This is so terrible, but I can't quit laughing.
You did. I'm going to mute myself.
Oh, did you mute yourself, you dumb bee? Oh, you twatter aberration. Like, oh.
I'm sorry. He's like, he snorted.
Tickle me, Donnie. Oh my God. It's so awful that we're laughing at this. But it's so funny.
I muted.
Oh my
I thought I was laughing so hard. Oh my God, I'm going to pee myself. Yeah, man. Come at these.
I've got to like relax my jaws because they're in perfect grid. Just relax your jaw. We'll stop laughing. Oh my God. So April 23rd, 1975. Just let me get it out. Lloyd drives Bob to the middle of nowhere. Which he told Bob was where the chiefs had elected to meet. Really? I have to finish this shit. I can't be in the headspace anymore.
I'm gonna mute. I have to mute. I'm muting, but I'm muting.
Oh, just mute yourself and let me finish it. Oh, God. So Simon thought he had finally achieved his calling and never suspected a thing. Bob's assassin. Goddamn you, Bethany.
He achieved his calling. Oh my god. I seriously can't. Oh my god. Okay, this really isn't funny, but if I don't fucking laugh at this shit, I'm gonna fucking be crying. Oh my god.
My Native American father is enjoying it too, if it makes you feel any better.
You sound so weird just then. I'm so glad this is being recorded.
It's so hard. I am too. Oh, I feel so bad because this guy's about to get murdered. But he's meeting fictitious entities in no tribe in the desert.
Jessica, spoiler alert.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay. We're doing a fucking podcast. Like.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna read it. So Bob's assassins had erected. That word.
That's divine.
Had erected a pile of rocks as a sign for Lloyd to stop, but Bob, who had never apparently ever met a Native American in his life, took it as a sign that they had arrived at the meeting place.
That's a whole nother version of here's your sign.
Oh, that's what white people do, though. They just see rocks erected in their desert and Native in America and just go, must have been Native Americans. It must be a standing arrowhead pointing to where I trip on peyote.
It's where the aliens landed. I just know it.
It's the beginning of Joshua Tree and the Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh my god, we have so simply lost it. Oh my god.
Because it's so terrible, but it's so funny. Oh. Okay, we're back. We're back on track. Damn it, and we're focused.
No, but it's okay. We're almost done, right?
Because it's not going to get any easier.
No.
Bob was tooling around looking for the Chiefs while Lloyd pretended to pee. And Bob standing in front of the car's headlights was the signal.
Hold on, go back. I missed what you just said. Okay, so you said the person that was
I got it together.
Where you are, I know where we're going. He's he's standing out to pee. Is that what's happening? Is that what you said?
Oh, we're gonna back up because I feel like I need to give my story. Oh, okay. Bob's assassins had erected a pile of rocks as a sign for Lloyd to stop.
Okay,
but
Lloyd.
Bob, who had never again apparently ever met any Native Americans in his life, took it as a sign that they had arrived at the meeting place. Bob was tooling around looking for chiefs in the desert while Lloyd pretended to pee, the guy that was driving him. So Bob standing in front of the car's headlights was the signal. Bob was so focused on spotting his Native American flock that he never noticed two of Ervil's other henchmen sneak up behind him. Which is where it stops becoming funny. One placed a shotgun literally to his head, pulls the trigger, which a headshot. These people got real in a hurry.
God.
A headshot with a shotgun. That's not like oh, I'm just getting into being an assassin. That's like, it got real in a hurry. And so then poor old Bob was shoved into a pre-dug grave.
My God, can I just say that my face went from hurting because I was laughing so hard to literally an ultimate frown.
Right?
When you were
like,
like,
it just went to RBS
oh my God,
instantly. Like,
like
boom.
what a
Mine did
dumbass.
too. As I read that, I literally lost all mirth that was associated with the situation. 110%.
I went from like being like, what a dumbass. Are you really think that this is it? Are you serious? To like, oh shit, you poor dumbass. Like, I actually feel like, oh, way of the world. Like, you poor thing. Like, holy shit. Damn.
Yeah. But can I just say, on a lighter note, I'm going to call my Native American father and tease him. Are you one of the 5 chiefs in the desert looking to convert to Mormonism, Daddy? And he's going to get real pissed off, so I'm going to really enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it a lot.
Or just make him listen to this podcast. No big deal.
No big deal, please. As if he would ever do that.
Yeah.
He's too busy. Oh my God, I can't say the things he's too busy in because they're going to sound racist in context of some freestanding assumptions.
Well, I read your mind. I literally read your mind, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa, honey bunny.
What you're going to say.
Do not say what he's usually up to. Let's say a business, because he is up to that, but he has a lot of fun in
business
parallel.
Which
business may be offensive in the context of many John Wayne movies, so I'm not going to mention what he does.
Jessica. Oh my God. Okay.
So Ervil continued his threats and extortion against fundamentalist leaders in Utah. And even though he was on the edge of the authorities, aka law enforcement's radar, as always, Ervil, and more importantly, the Lambs of God were just getting started.
Oh, fuck.
And that's where I'm going to leave us off at part 3 of Ervil Lebaron and the Lambs of God. Oh.
Okay, I have a love-hate relationship with these deep dives because in my one and dones, I get a beginning, a middle, and a fucking end in literally one episode.
Well, this is only your second deep dive. Like, I really want to do this to Madison because I've done this to you and I've done this to Frank. But, like, Maddie gets her, like, in and out freaking good time. Woo! Like, one and done BS. And I want to do this to her. And I'm so upset about it that I haven't been able to.
It's like, seriously, like, when you read a book series and you finish a book and you know that there's another one and you can't have access to it yet, or you didn't know
you're telling a Song of Ice and Fire fan about this?
Yes.
Like,
okay. Really? I'm just saying, like, it's one of those things where you're like, and for instance, we knew this was going to be the last episode until the last of the books are finished and released, or if they're already finished, just released. One of those things for Game of Thrones. And it's like, literally, every time we do one of these deep dives, we're like, and we're going to end it for today. And I
have to change. I feel like I'm such a nerd. I have to change your reference point because you and I watch Game of Thrones, but we read A Song of Ice and Fire.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like,
you're exactly right. Like, it's done. It is what it is. I say it's done, but you know me. I write an outline and I just keep adding, or I keep putting this, or I keep putting that. And so by the time you get it, it's this 5 to 6 page to 11 page sometimes, like, conflagration of junk that I'm throwing at you. And I weave it all together in a fun tale that we go through, but like all the facts are right there and you're just like, What is this? Why? Why are you doing this? You're
So
a horrible person.
my mom always told me that like every time you learn something, you get a wrinkle in your brain. And I feel like ever since we started this podcast, I've gotten more wrinkles in my brain than I ever have in my entire life, or ones that I've taken away from, you know.
Let's hope this one is occurring in the prefrontal cortex to not make us all sociopaths.
We're learning in a good way, not a bad way.
Your mother will appreciate that joke,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Because we have a weird relationship, your mother and I.
I know.
I love my mother, but your mother just like takes in all the things I say in a way that my mother never would. And it's like, yes, I hear your theory, but I raise you another theory.
That's because you're actually speaking to another person who has actually dedicated their whole life to the education of higher learning. So it just, and that's the best way I can call you guys both nerds.
You know, I should really hook you and my mom up. You guys can talk about like normal stuff.
Your mom, I've never fully figured out if your mom likes me. So
my mom 110% likes you because she knows you're the only thing from keeping me going fully insane.
I was gonna say a different word, but you know, whatever.
No, let's not. Let's just call it that shit, and let's call it tethered me to the realities of men.
It's
man.
It's
I mean, mankind in that context. Like, tethered me to the ground of, learn this new thing about what humans are doing.
All right, Jessica, let's put you on the kid leash today. Okay, you have a monkey now for this.
That's exactly right. You have a monkey, sweetie. Look, we're going to the Science or History Museum, somewhere that you're comfortable.
Here we go.
Try not to talk to the other humans.
You can just talk to the statues.
I tweeted today that the two most dreaded words for me in the English language are, well, actually, but I shouldn't say that because at a museum, well, actually.
There's a time and place for it. Let's just say that.
I'll hear somebody like minimalizing a concept and it's everything I could do not to slap them with a white glove and challenge them to a duel. Well, actually. So you know what? This has brightened my mood. I'm not going to go at people on Harry Twatter and the sorcerer's bitch that is Twitter.
Oh my god, I've been crying.
I am too. My eyes are swollen. I've been trying not to.
I keep trying myself, but like I'm laughing so hard, my fingers like, and I tap. I can't mute.
You can mute, but it's not. I mean, you can, but it's not easily possible on this freaking Microsoft deal like it used to be. We could just use to press our microphone deals, but now we use phones, guys. So like,
no headsets. We have nothing now. That it's supposed.
Microsoft upgraded us when we weren't ready.
We were not. You're right. It was great, but I wasn't ready. Like for real, was not ready.
We're not professional enough for this new tech that you've given us.
Like change, okay? I just can't handle change.
We can't because gather round, children, on your auntie's knee. It's a recurring theme in this ridiculous podcast. This is why Madison was supposed to be on these with us so that she could be of an age that understood things to explain to us.
Oh God, Madison, come back to us. We need you.
Maddie, we need to. So, counterculture.
Okay. Oh my God. Yeah, I forgot we ended.
Wait, I forgot we have to end this show. We've just been chatting like we're on a freaking phone call with each other. like jackasses. So let's end this podcast.
Okay,
Counterculture. I always do.
Care Rescue
At
Texas.
Care
See,
you can't say
I know better than you.
it. Care Rescue Texas on social media. CareRescueTexas.com. Guys, and I really cannot preach it enough. It's something that's really near and dear to my heart, and I know it's not helping your fellow man like I preached earlier in this podcast, but you're helping your fellow rescue animal, namely big cats. So please go check them out. Please give money to them. It's a hugely worthwhile cause. Hopefully this next time when I get home, which is going to be in July, I'm wanting to stop out there. I'm wanting to check it out. Like, I want to be with it, in it, be all up in whatever it's got to give. Like, I'm really excited. And if I do that, I'm going to put it on our Patreon, 110%. Because I think it's important. I think it's important for everybody to see. It's something that's very near and dear to my heart. Let's plug some shows. Plug at Despair and Distress.
There's the B's and A's.
Oh, dude, let's do at Cooking with Grief because they make my day.
Yes. Let's clap at them.
Oh, best clapback I've read today. In a way, so are the wars. Just go look at it on Twitter. It was amazing. It was amazing. At French History Pod, they're going to be joining us in a few short weeks for what we think is a very important story, especially for women to tell. Women about women. And it's a fun one. And it's about a Nazi spy or an anti-Nazi spy who worked with the resistance and brought down a great deal of Nazis, one of the bigger Nazi body counts, and she's fun and she's crazy and I love it to death. Nancy Wake. Also go check out at Jay Sandlin. Like, I love Jay's tweets. I love his podcast. I have a lot of fun with it. And also go check out Bumwine Bob. Like, also, God, we love Bob. I can't believe we've never plugged him on our counterculture. We love him so much.
Just so many, like, boobies and newbies.
I love boobies and newbies.
There's just honest. Isn't it called honesty? God, what's it called? I'm so bad with names.
Honesty check.
Yes. There's just so.
I love them. I love them. I love at NRI podcast. Yeah. I love, and we're giving you their Twitter handles, so from there you can absolutely make it to their podcast. I also love at Make It Modern.
Yeah.
They are very much in the grain that we're in. So if you're a fan of this show, I feel like you're really gonna love them. And I'm gonna do this plug, and a lot of you are already gonna know this podcast from many years ago. But it was a podcast that first got me into podcasting, and I absolutely loved it. And it was called Thinking Sideways Podcast. And you can find them still at Thinking Sideways Twitter, and they would very much, now it's defunct now. They're not making any new episodes, but it's very much in the realm of, we don't do a lot of History's Mysteries, but if you love History's Mysteries or you loved Unsolved Mysteries, this is a great podcast. And you should definitely go there. You should follow the former hosts of the show. I've been having a great conversation that was, of course, Edward VIII based with Joe, formerly from Thinking Sideways podcast. You should definitely at least listen to it. I really, really enjoy their back catalog. It's something that got me into all of this, and I absolutely love it. And it's fantastic. Please go and check it out. Who else do we love? I will go ahead and go listen to last podcast, as we already plugged their Jonestown episodes. So if you're not getting your cult fix from us, go really and truly listen to those Jonestown episodes from that podcast. That's why I'm never going to do it. I think it's been covered the best it can ever be covered.
Right. Can I plug something now, Jessica? Or are you just
Oh,
gonna
it's all your plug.
Okay.
It's all your plug now.
I'm just saying, like, oh my God, no, I was just gonna say our network. After the intense stuff we went through just last week, or not even a week ago, you know what I mean? Like, we were afraid we were gonna have to release on a different day because
And Mark,
technical
so
issues.
much thank you. Go check out Massive Late Fee. I mean,
with Big Heads Media, like, it's just one of those things where it's like, I cannot believe, like, I really wasn't sure what was going to happen, and then all of a sudden I got the notification on Monday morning that we had released the episode, and I was like, wow, like, we couldn't have done that. We would have been several days behind, you know what I mean, if we had to do it ourselves,
or if we'd have been in the former situation that we were. I was just like chewing Xanax like they were Tic Tacs.
Exactly.
Because they hit the system faster, BT dubs, folks.
And it's literally, it's one of those things where I was nervous too. I was like, damn it, now we got to make a post about how, you know, I'm sorry for the technical difficulties to the people that expect to have they have a plan, they have a system, like you and me. We will listen to certain podcasts on certain days because that's when the episode drops, or that's just how our schedule works. And when I was like, fudge muffins, we're not going to be released on Monday. And
I'm not gonna lie, Mark hit me up at like 3:45 that morning, and he was like, "It's ready to go. You've got to change description, whatever." And I just almost cried because I was so thankful that we're a part of this podcast network, and they do so much for us, and we can't plug them enough. Again, like, sorry, I'm not Big Heads Media on Twitter, bigheadsmedia.com. Like, we'd be lost because
completely.
We're all not capable of having a normal human life. So imagine us as podcasters
and doing all the background behind the scenes. Like, it's hard. Like, we can't function. And you know, here we are. And now, honestly, I will never have to worry about a dang thing ever again with this podcast in that aspect. Ever.
Exactly. And remember, we're your aunties from 1990. We still think MTV has news. So we can't work hosts and computers. We can't do any of this. No. My only skills in life are as that of an historian. My only skill in life is, well, actually.
The thing we hate the most right now.
Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and plug our show. You can find us at Body Count Pod on Twitter and Instagram. I don't even know if we have a Facebook, and I don't care, because Facebook is for your grandmother to stalk you and try to figure out what you're doing with your life. For lack of a better term. So you can also find us at bodycounthistorypod.com. Everything we've got there. So if you don't listen on any other kind of, you know, platform, whether it be iTunes, whatever else, you can find us there. And you can find Bethany on social media where?
Bethany Skelton 5, the number 5 on Twitter, and Bethany RN 24 at Instagram.
That is correct, because Bethany isn't a uniformist, aka didn't join all social media together this year like I did. At Jessica B. Manor on Twitter and Instagram.
To be fair, I didn't get to pick my Twitter. It's like when I signed up, it like generated.
Well, I couldn't get Jessica Manor either, but I got like creative.
Yeah. I just didn't. I didn't even know you could do that. I was like, I guess I'm stuck with this username. So okay, cool.
I'm sorry I didn't explain that to you. I wasn't very good about joining you to Twitter.
Yeah, no, I kind of had to like get on a bike with no training wheels and just fucking
Well,
go.
Bethany, to be fair, I still don't understand Twitter.
Yeah, I know.
I just put my thoughts hatefully out into the world, and whatever happens, happens. And I retweet historically things that catch my ridiculous eye, and that is the end of it. So go follow us, but most importantly, follow the show. We don't give a shit if you like us personally.
Really don't.
Go follow us on Patreon, patreon.com/bodycount. And I can't think of a single other plug that we could possibly have to do in this wide world. Can you? No. So join us all next week for the fourth and final, we swear to God, the final part of Ervil Lebaron.
Sorry.
Final countdown. Doo-doo-doo. We're done. I am done. I thought I wanted to do true crime and occultism and have fun. I don't. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It's way outside of my wheelhouse. So far outside of my wheelhouse, guys. I can't even tell you. My soul longs to be talking about Genghis Khan, or something more pertinent than this, but I do believe zealotism is an important thing to cover. So we're going to see you guys back here next week. We love you. Go check us out on not podcoin.com. Just download the app. Jesus Christ, Grandma. It's 2019. Podcoin app. We love you. Bye.
Hi, everybody. I'm RJ Metzger.
And I'm Rachel Metzger.
And we're the Skeptical Skeptics.
Each week we talk about all the crazy things in the world, ranging from the paranormal to Bigfoot to UFOs.
And we look at it from the perspective of the believer, the skeptic, and everything in between.
So come check us out on the MSC Podcast Network.
Or go to skepticalskeptics.com and follow us at SkepSkepPod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.